if you think of blindness as just one characteristic, like who has dark hair, who has light hair, it could be from any country, it could be from any family. It's just a unique quality that you're born with.
Without sight, we experience our environment in a very different way. Our dependency on sight leads to the desensitization of non-visual information. As designers, we wondered, how can we transform spaces that have been designed for the sighted, by the sighted, to be more receptive to the non-visual information? How can we make the experience at UT Austin equitable for those who can and cannot see? We started our research at UT's Service for Students with Disabilities. SSD's mission is to make UT's campus a more inclusive, accessible, and welcoming environment for people with disabilities. We spoke with Megan Carethi, the Assistive Technology Lab Manager, about the current accommodations UT provides blind and visually impaired students. Some examples included softwares like JAWS for low vision reading and mobility-oriented training for new students.
We were curious as to how a campus designed for non-sighted students would differ from UT's campus. We visited the Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired and were immediately struck by the prominence of non-visual building components, including tactile and auditory architectural cues. To help students orient themselves within the building and navigate from class to class, the walls were textured differently in different hallways. Handrails ran along the walls to guide students to tactile panels made by the staff that identified different classrooms. Carpet and acoustic tiles around the school resulted in clarity of sound. The floor tiles in the hallways used bright, contrasting colors to create noticeable variations for low-vision students. We learned through a blindness training session with Chris Tabb, a mobility specialist at the Texas School for the Blind, that many of the helpful non-visual features of the TSBVI were not present at UT. When blindfolded, we started to map our physical environment through non-visual landmarks. A unique area with cushions, the smell of coffee, and the sound of a fountain provided more location awareness than the visual landmarks like statues, street signs, and buildings. Since there was little we could do to alter the pre-existing problematic physical world of the UT campus, we thought that we could help blind and visually impaired students navigate the campus and orient themselves digitally through a mental mapping app. This app would allow a blind or visually impaired student to add points of reminder at specific locations or along new routes he or she wants to remember. The virtual breadcrumb trail would provide a personal map of campus and the surrounding area. Users would be able to share their mental map with others. Shared data could be analyzed to determine the most and least accessible areas of UT.
Let's say James is a legally blind freshman. During his first week of school, James finds it difficult to navigate UT's 350 acres. He uses the mental mapping app to drop a pin with a voice memo at his first class of the day, geology. He drops another pin at the coffee shop he went to with his roommate, and another at the flight of stairs he tripped over on his way home. While walking to biology class the next day, James is notified of the stairs before he reaches them, and when he passes geology class on his right. When he arrives at the life sciences building, he is notified that the coffee shop is actually in the adjacent building. Through these reminders, James starts to learn familiar places' locations in relation to one another. In addition to providing helpful location tools, the app would create a social platform for students to share non-visual information with each other. James could share information about the dangerous staircase with peers in his network. Similarly, UT Austin could share official updates with the location-specific notifications of current construction zones and events on campus. When fully realized, the app would allow for a network of students, both sighted and not sighted, to pinpoint and share places of personal significance. The differentiating feature of the mental mapping app is its ability to teach location awareness based on personal experiences. Unlike most digital navigation tools, this app would not answer questions like, how do I get from point A to point B to point C? Instead, it would help the user realize where point A, B, and C are in relation to one another. In other words, the app is not about developing awareness of unknown locations. Rather, it is about contextualizing and creating relationships between known locations. We tested aspects of this mapping app on the UT campus by blindfolding members of our team. Members were given the simple task of walking from point A to point B, and as they traveled along this path, another teammate gave them reminders about nearby landmarks, acting as the app would. In the coming weeks, we intend to distribute a survey about the proposed mental mapping app to blind and visually impaired students. The survey responses, in addition to low-fidelity testing of the app with students, will help us identify the strengths and weaknesses of our proposal. Through our research and design, we hope to redefine our campus as not just accessible, but also equitable for all students regardless of visual ability.